Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings and salutation, and good afternoon. Mr. Adventure here, and welcome back again to another reaction video at your service. What's good, guys? Well, for starters, morning sucks, and like any other day, it's just been busy. At least I got a little bit of a second breather just to take my mind off, but it's just another day in paradise, and etc. That it just drains me out, and it's just one of those moments that just makes you feel old. And speaking of old, and sometimes life comes at you really pretty quick, and that it just makes you feel like that you just wanted to just to take a big break. And what better way in the world of wrestling, and that you wanted to make an arrangement or set a plan for of a retirement match. And what I got here, and this is a recommendation from Storm Shadow, and this is actually from What Culture Wrestling. So I am going to be watching top 10 obscure retirement wrestling matches that you didn't know about. So this is going to be interesting to take a look at. And maybe there are some things that I never knew about that. And the only time that I remember that Shawn Michaels that instantly retires Ric Flair on the WrestleMania match, that was years ago. Now, I can't remember what day it was, but I'm certain that it did happen. And all I got is nothing but flashes of where Shawn says, I really am sorry. That's all I get. I mean, you can't hear him, but you can see the lips move, the lip movements that says so. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one, and let's make it happen. And without further ado, it's time to react.
When some wrestlers go out, they do so with all the bells and whistles. It's only not a good idea because many sports entertainers love to return from a retirement, so you should probably just have some fun, see what happens. There are others, though, that sort of sneak off into the distance, and yep, that's what I have for you today, chums. So I am Simon Miller, and here's 10 wrestlers that did exactly this. Like Batman. Number 10, Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash was a smart dude. He knew that the money was in the longevity, so made sure when it came to throwing himself around a ring, he picked and chose his moments. See? Smart. It's also why he wasn't interested in a fully blown retirement match, because there's a level of expectation that comes with it, or so I assume. Fans think you're about to go out, even though you're ready to fall apart. Instead, Big Sexy drew a pretty good house for indie promotion Big Time Wrestling in 2018, and won a gauntlet that also featured Fred Rosser, Flex Armstrong, James Ellsworth, and two other guys that couldn't even make it onto Cage Match. There doesn't seem to be any footage of this online, but by all reports, as already discussed, it sounds like Nash took his time, planned his moments, and then likely powerbombed somebody. He smashed it. Number 9. The real-life Ed Leslie had some truly bizarre gimmicks over the years, and even his most famous makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why did he
else?
think being a barber was going to help with wrestling? Answers on a postcard. After WCW closed in 2001, there didn't seem to be a place for him, so Brutus mostly found himself on the indies, with the last coming in 2015 during a WrestleCade Battle Royal. There was some irony here, as Garrett Bischoff was also in this. And given the relationship the hairdresser had with Hulk Hogan, and then the relationship Hogan had with one Eric Bischoff, well, do the maths. As far as I can tell, too, Brutus hasn't done anything since. Number 8, Harley Race. So, Harley Race is an all-time legend, and him having an over-the-top farewell would have made all the sense. At one point in time, he basically was wrestling. The NWA is where he really made his mark, but he did have a short run with the WWF, where he put over the likes of Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior on untelevised events. In 1990, he also popped up in WCW, but by this point, Race was so beat up, he just couldn't really go anymore. Time had won, as always. I assume World Championship Wrestling knew this too, but still decided Michael Wall Street should be his last hurrah. And yep, that is the future IRS. There is nothing wrong with that either, and the real-life Mike Rotunda was a decent worker. I just think many assumed Harley would go out with a bang, and he kind of just had a match, and he never came back. Number 7, The Ultimate Warrior. I still remember this to this day, because it was just so out of nowhere. Because years after we had seen the Ultimate Warrior in a WCW ring, one day a random promoter in Spain announced the man was coming back for one last fight against Orlando Jordan. Okay. This was New Revolution Wrestling in 2008, and I suppose it made sense. Warrior was still a super controversial figure, but nostalgia is a powerful tool. Bring him in, few minutes of madness, draw a line under it. This is where it went totally off the rails because it went 17 minutes. I mean, even during his peak, the Ultimate One didn't need to go past 10. And after he defeated Orlando, that's right, he was done. That seemed to be the way overall until he had his brief comeback in WWE. Though I am surprised he never went to TNA. I would guess conversations did take place, and the price of entry was just too much. For some trivia, in case you need it later too, do you want to know who else wrestled on this Spanish show? Pac. There's a connection that nobody saw coming. Number 6, Marty Jannetty. Another wrestler who's become quite difficult in later years. Wouldn't surprise me if Marty Jannetty had another match somewhere. I mean, he always seems to be hinting about it. If we do go to cage match, though, his final encounter at the moment was back in 2018 at Battle of the Border 7, Legends and All-Stars. I mean, that sounds like some sort of low-budget wrestling game. It gets interesting as Marty was in an 8-man tag with some individuals who don't even have a listing on the website, although one was called Hooks. But no, it wasn't that guy. The latest rumor going around is that Jannetty may need his foot amputated, and that is never good. Does mean there's every chance he could be done, however. His career has been an absolute roller coaster. Number 5, Nick.
Okay, that I did not know.
Nick is like a fine wine. As the years have passed, more and more wrestlers have brought his name up because in many ways he was ahead of his time. The dude got it. You can see his inspiration all over Chris Jericho's 2008 Bad Guy run, most of what Nick Aldis has done throughout his career, and even elements of Cody Rhodes' presentation. It's all about the elegant, superb technician, and in many ways, them being slightly understated. He had a hell of a run too, given he debuted in 1954 and didn't have his last match until 1993. Between that, there was also his 1987 clash with Kurt Hennig, which many people saw as passing the torch, but still, a few years after that, he did say goodbye when he fought Dory Funk Jr. This was on pay-per-view too, as it happened at WCW Slamboree, and while that was the right stage, the issue was nobody cared. This wasn't Nick's fault either. This was a World Championship Wrestling. It was all over the shop. Didn't bother explaining why it was a big deal.
Oh,
So
wow,
it was
that's
wrong to
crazy.
send off for a proper legend.
Nobody didn't give a
Doing it
damn
to
about
shame
that.
would be fair. Number 4, Arn Anderson. Many people have called Arn Anderson one of the best to ever do it. And that's not them being nice. You can see why when you go through Anderson's career, because while he never went totally over the top, he was just consistently great. The man knew what he was doing. Arn was also awesome with the mic in his hand because it sounded like he was genuinely going to kill you as he just went to war from 1982 to 1997. Sadly, his time in the ring was cut short due to injuries, although he did decide to work a couple of last matches in 2000 against David Flair. Now, this was done in order to try and get the Nature Boy's son over. It did not work. This was nothing to do with the Enforcer, as David was just put in a position he wasn't ready for, although he did win the second one. He teamed with Dad Rick to defeat the Son and Crowbar.
He was actually knocked out
WCW thing ever.
For
3, Randy Savage. The fact Randy Savage was never brought back to the WWE post-WCW is very, very sad. There's rumors about what did happen, but nobody knows for sure. Here's the deal, though. It should have gone down. Easily one of the best to ever do it, the Macho Man did have a decent run down south and actually had his last match in TNA. I mean, where else? This was in 2004 at the Turning Point pay-per-view where he teamed with AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy to take on Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Jeff Jarrett. That's mad. His major issue is that it went way too long at almost 18 minutes, and while Styles especially did his best, it was just stretched too thin. Savage himself really did deserve a proper send-off, and yet he never got it. And of course, sadly, he passed away way too early in 2011. It's horrible. Number 2, the Honky Tonk Man. You know the deal. Anytime we do bring up the Tonk, we have to remind ourselves that he decided the best way to be successful at wrestling was by pretending to be Elvis.
True, yes.
The modern day has shifted his greatest record around
what better way to be and to have that gimmick?
Champion of all time. If that nod has gone to Gunther, so it's all changed. Honky did pick the right lane in the sense he was more character than anything else. So even in the 2010s, he was still working. That's some staying power. It seemed as if 2019 was his final curtain, as he was part of a gimmick battle royal for Wildcat Pro Wrestling, along with the likes of Ernest the Cat Miller, Carlito, somebody named the Mysterious Q. So if you know who that is, or it is you, please let me know in the comments below.
Is that supposed to be hologram?
People still don't get how big Bruno Sammartino was during his heyday. I do get it because out of sight, out of mind. But when you go back and watch it, my word, the dude was massive. Proper hero. Even though he did fall out with WWE for years, he was still very much a WWF man through and through. This was true right down to his last match. Of all the things, he teamed with Hulk Hogan to face King Kong Bundy and the One Man Gang in 1987. Why did he do this? Powers that be had asked him to help the Hulkster get even more over. Bruno would do sporadic appearances here and there, especially if his son was involved, but otherwise, this was it. I know people say this a lot, but there really will be another like him. Go and check out anything he did from Madison Square Garden. It is quite the incredible sight to behold. Now, please do click the video on the screen, which is 10 bizarre times WW stars experimented with their gimmick to totally confuse your brain. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And make sure you put it into your ears that I am thanking you for joining me today. I'll talk to you again very soon.
Well, there's a reason that Bruno is the legend of all time, and back then, you know, that I never knew that he existed and make it that such of a big momentum at the Madison Square Garden. So I wasn't even born yet. But you know, it's crazy that if you know, when your body is started to max out, and you just wanted to have have a center way, and that you wanted to have the best match that you want to have, and just go out with a bang, and that's natural, because one, that you're getting old, and two, that your body is not as perfect as it was for the last decade, and sometimes that you gotta go and do it graceful. And sometimes it gets a little stale. Now the match of the Ultimate Warrior against Orlando Jordan. Now that lasted about like 18 minutes or 17 minutes. I mean, that took very prolonging, and that's one thing that I never knew about that. And it just makes you wonder, that being like, that there are some things that you never know, or you never knew that match that actually did came around, and that made people that never talked about that. And you know, Macho Man was the best of all time, and of course that things that the beef between him and Hogan, and I still to this day I remember that he made a diss rap song that talked about Hulk Hogan. Now I wish that I could remember what the lyrics are, but I prefer that it's better that this way, that should not be to be brought up. But still, though, that it is shame that Randy Savage that is no longer with us, and that he passed away too early. So that's a pretty damn shame, though. But as I said, I only remember that Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair, and that everything that was the most memorable that was it from WWE. But with other legends, that I never knew, and that is just crazy, though. And for Kevin Nash, that with all this money that he had, I mean, he could have done something better. But obviously that there's the calling, the instincts of a pro wrestler that say that I still got one more in me, and just right now, and John Cena is already declared that he's going to retire next year, and with other events that's going to be coming, and especially that the WrestleMania will be his last. So I guess the question now is that which of the names of that who would like to wrestle with Cena just for one more time? That I would like to know exactly who would face John Cena. Well, I hope you guys enjoy that, and let's give it up to Shadow for that request. And if you haven't subscribed to What Culture Wrestling, I insisted that you go right ahead and click and subscribe, and be sure to stop over to their website where they have all the information in the world of wrestling. And at the same time, leave a likes and also leave your comments down below. And what do you think of this clip? That did you have like any other of a wrestling legend that should have been on the list? And let me know, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. So take care, guys, and peace.